Whether the headlines talk of bribery or backhanders, corruption or crisis, over the last few months, the press reports concerning FIFA have made grim reading.
It's tragic that we have this situation now, and this underscores the need for urgent reforms to set things right.
In the short term, the negative publicity has seriously affected public perception of FIFA's brand quality, reputation and value.
With FIFA is what we found when the initial, call it a scandal, to use your words, broke, that all of the scores immediately kind of dropped down.
FIFA's credibility has plunged, but what about its biggest sponsors?
We've looked at the brands of their sponsors, so the Coca-Colas and the Adidas and so on, that are the paymasters of FIFA, if you will, and their brands haven't been touched at all by this crisis.
Despite that, 5 of FIFA's 6 major corporate partners have recently released statements ranging from visas. The current situation is not good for the game, and we ask that FIFA take all necessary steps to resolve the concerns. To Coca-Cola's, the current allegations are distressing and bad for the sport. We have every expectation that FIFA will resolve this situation.
That is slightly surprising. That said, the nature of the statements, the tone of the statements was kind of what you'd expect. Brands saying we're slightly concerned.
Of course, the public has always been far less worried about FIFA than its key product, the World Cup. A product that accounts for close to 90% of FIFA's revenue.
Because at the end of the day, it's football, and we care more about our football than we do whatever the guys in Zurich happen to be doing.
One thing the guys in Zurich have been doing particularly well over the last 2 World Cups is making money. Between 2003 and 2006, FIFA made $2.7 billion. In the following 4 years, $4.2 billion. Sponsors account for about a quarter of FIFA's revenue, TV around 60%. But even as the money rolls in, some believe the World Cup may slowly be losing its allure for players and fans, and ultimately sponsors and broadcasters, thanks to the growing wealth, influence and quality of Europe's top clubs.
You wonder whether or not the World Cup, international football, is paramount in players' minds anymore.
In terms of consistent quality, the club game has got better and better, particularly with the Champions League.
If you look at the way that, for instance, a player like Lionel Messi gets more than 50 goals in a single season for his club Barcelona, his comparative performances in the World Cup were disappointing.
Last year, the Champions League generated $1.2 billion from TV deals alone. And if European fans especially begin to see the World Cup as second-rate, FIFA could be in trouble, given that over half its TV earnings come from Europe. Combine that with the fact that clubs are becoming ever unhappier about releasing players for international duty, and eventually the quality of the World Cup could be seriously compromised.
These players are now very expensive commodities, and there's increasing resistance to letting players go away for months on end or at least weeks on end and maybe getting injured. And so yes, the clubs are becoming more and more powerful.
As always, money is a key issue. Last year, participating clubs received around 70% of the Champions League revenues. Meanwhile, the 400 clubs that contributed players to the World Cup received just 1% of the income the event generated.
My own personal prediction is that there will be a very big conflict between the clubs and the international game in future, and I think that there is only one winner with that, and that is the clubs.
If a genuine power shift is coming, ironically, FIFA's awarding of the 2022 World Cup to Qatar, a decision shrouded in allegations of bribes and payoffs, could prove a turning point in football's future.
If the championship stays in Qatar and it doesn't put on a good tournament, could that have an impact? I suspect it could.
If it does go to Qatar in 2022, that could damage the product. I mean, because when's it going to be played? If it's in the summer, it's ludicrous really, playing 50 degrees. And if they do it in the winter, the clubs won't stand for it. And that really could cause a schism.
And despite the latest scandal, no one can deny that FIFA, under Blatter's presidency, has been able to distribute an unprecedented amount of money, $794 million over the last 4 years, for football development projects around the world. Although in certain areas exactly where those funds have ended up is debatable.
What is crucial is to ensure that they are being disbursed in ways that are totally transparent, and there's full accountability for how those revenues are disbursed, allocated and used.
In the longer term, while FIFA should perhaps be most concerned with the quality of its on-field product, it may not be too late to restore its off-field reputation. Blatter's promised to open the voting on the hosting of future World Cups to all 208 members rather than just the 24-man executive committee has at least been a step in the right direction.
Sports fans love their sport and they are willing to ignore an awful lot of stuff that goes on around the side.